4th of July celebrations, which we don't really fuck with, but
this is not.
This is not a 4th of July celebration. This is just the fact that we have off tomorrow.
And we decided it was a good idea to come to our mama's house and get just a little...
Yeah, we had to come see mama, so... But on the plus side, you get to be invited to the carnita asada. So here we are at the mom's crib with the carnita asada going. So if you've ever wondered what Mexicans be saying by the carnita asada, you about to get firsthand experience. Well, kind of like half, because this is not gonna be the whole shebang, but same thing is when black people say they want to invite you to the barbecue, then that's Gucci, dog. So if I keep going back and forth between the meat and the conversation,
you know why.
It is good though.
That fajita, that Flamingo's fajita, shout out.
Yo, shout out.
Shout out to the OG. Flamingos. It's not Flamingos. It's Flamingos off of Canal, and I don't know what street it is, but if you know, you know.
If you know.
You know. You know where this be is, right there off of the Yerberia, where all the brujeria be at, and then down the street from Burnett. So you know what I mean? So Flamingo's got the best fajita ever. The homegirl, the lady that was there before, she gone now, but she was there.
She's there in spirit. She's there every time we cook.
Yeah. Mom asked the man where she went. She's like, oh, she went back to Mexico. These trying times be having people going back, man.
Speaking of trying times, bro, when I tell you I walked into the fucking Flamingo meat market today, the carniceria.
It's a gas station, y'all. It's a gas station.
Trying to get the usuals, right? The usual suspects for the cookout, bro. The fajita, 1 pound of marinated fajita. $10.99.
$11.
$11 fucking dollars.
Damn.
Inflation is hurting all of us, okay? And I didn't think before. I was like, you know what? It's not a big a deal. It's gonna be fine. People just complaining too much. No, it's serious. There's a problem.
Serious.
We are. This is the new pandemic. The inflation. Fuck gas prices. Fajita is $11. Fuck gas prices. Fajita is $11 fucking dollars per pound.
That's too much.
I'm over it.
That's because 10 pounds of meat is not a lot, y'all. 10 pounds of meat goes into nothing.
That's for half the family.
That's half.
Somebody is not eating here tonight.
Somebody is literally not eating tonight. And it's not gonna be me. That's all I'm just saying.
For showing up late.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
That's crazy. I mean, what else has gone up with the inflation right now?
Everything is up with inflation. Chicken is up. The meal prepping is all types of fucked up because of the chicken.
Oh yeah.
But you know what? Shout out to Arizona tea. They're still $1.
Still $1.
Fucking y'all are the real MVPs. The Arizona tea, that Mucho Mango or Mango Madness or whatever the hell it is.
No, Mucho Mango, because Mango Madness is Snapple.
Oh yeah. That's not the one we fuck with.
No, and you know what? I stopped fucking around with
Arizona's?
With Snapple when they started making it not unique anymore. They made it.
Well, them facts were garbage anyway.
No. It wasn't even the facts. It was
you popped the Snapple top and it was like today's a Tuesday.
Yeah. It was,
what?
I like the fact that they had.
It's Wednesday.
I like the fact that they just had glass. I fucked with the glass. Reusable.
The container?
Yeah, because it was reusable. You know what I mean? I don't know. People be putting their kombuchas and shit like that. I've never had kombucha in my life, but I figured.
You never had kombucha?
Yeah. I don't know.
That sounds exotic.
It's exotic.
It sounds exotic.
That sounds like a hippie made it in their basement or something, and I don't feel like ever eating that or drinking that.
It tastes like their feet or something?
Yeah.
They smushed grapes with their feet and shit?
Grapes?
Or whatever.
I don't even know what the fuck it's made out of, but all I know is kombucha just does not sound all that nice and fun to be eaten. That shit look tender and juicy. Ooh.
I feel that, it keeps on fucking...
Yeah, I can't stop staring at the food, y'all.
We gonna eat good. Not for 4th of July.
Not for 4th of July.
We're going to keep reiterating that point. America does not deserve a birthday right now.
It does 100,000% does not.
Because of a lack of independence out here in this world.
Absolutely. If I can't do whatever the fuck I want to do in my body, I have no reason to be celebrating this goddamn country.
But there is a reason to drink. And what better way to drink than with some carnita asada?
You know what would have been nice is if you had elotes and like grilled the elotes, because y'all know that the grilled elotes be hitting so different from the boiled elotes. You know, when you go to the flea market, when you go to the pulga and it's grilled, and you know you out there, it's 9 o'clock on a Sunday morning, and it is allowed for you to go get yourself an elote asado with mayonesa, with the chile and the queso. And they use the queso fresco, okay? They don't be using the little Parmesan shit. Nah, man. They be getting all the queso panela out here dripping it and stuff like that.
Damn, you getting my mouth all watery.
And it's acceptable to do that. That's acceptable behavior for Mexicans at 9, 8 in the morning when you're pulling up to Tia Pancha's and shit like that. Like, that's totally fine.
Yo, shout out to Pancha's, the only business establishment that was thriving even more during the pandemic.
Absolutely.
Because
funny enough,
ain't nothing like a Mexican flea market. I know that black people have swap meets and that's cool because they're badass too, but there's nothing like a Mexican flea market. There's nothing like going through the aisle and being able to buy a rabbit, and then not but 2 feet next to you, buy some sweets, and then two other stands in front of you, you can buy a car that hasn't been stolen yet.
Absolutely.
With or without the tires, your choice.
Your choice, man.
A la carte. You get to pick it.
I fuck with it.
You know what I mean?
I fuck with it.
You just leave us your number and...
I fuck with it.
Leave us. You just leave them the number.
Leave them your number.
And then, we'll call you if we end up, in a fortuitous occasion.
We'll call you. My favorite thing about the flea market is whenever
we might be outing some people right now. Nah, they good. They good shit.
No, they act like they don't know. They act like the FBI don't be going over there to eat their chicharrones in the morning anyways. No, my favorite thing is like I like going to the one right here off of Telephone Road or the Pasadena Market. It's owned by a white man, first of all, which is really weird. Second of all,
hey, we need allies in this bitch.
That's true, but I didn't know this.
We need allies.
I always just thought of it as like la pulga de la teléfono. La pulga de la teléfono. That was it. Like, there was nothing else that I knew about it. And then really I drove by it. Then after actually like going there a couple times, I realized I was like, that says like Steve's Flea Market. And I was like, why is it Steve? Something like that.
Steve?
It's literally a white man, like a white man's name, Steve.
Patrick.
Like, Flea Market. And I was
Frederick.
Like, damn. And I really looked into it. I was like, that's actually like
Stanley.
Legit, man. Well, Yelnats. Stanley Yelnats.
Yo, this that heat that Stanley Yelnats was in.
Was
him and Zero.
This
that heat. I walked outside the house this morning and I was like, ooh, no. We're gonna start this over.
We are not.
We'll just go take a nap real quick. We'll come back in the AC. Blah blah. Shit, this
shit was wild.
That heat that grandfather in that movie was like, well, that's too damn bad.
I'm tired of this,
Grandpa.
I'm tired of these, Grandpa.
Well, that's too damn bad. That was a hardworking man right there. You saw that?
Hell yeah.
In the middle of the desert.
Out there chewing on tobacco and shit. Anyways.
Yeah.
No, my favorite thing about that flea market in particular is they have like this inside section, right? And the inside section, there's this one place where you could go, like on one side of one of the hallways, you could go into like a comic book store, and it's also got like little anime stuff in there, and then they also have like records, like vinyls, yeah, that you could go to. And then like if you go down the hall, you'll see like this place sells samurai swords, man. And it's really cool because
what I'm saying.
Like
this is the only
they
place
got
you can do this in.
like actual knives, and they got like legit samurai swords that are heavy as fuck. And then it like that's just crazy to me. Like I think it's so cool to be up in there and then like experience the world in a tiny little dusty ass place. You know what I mean? Because it's dusty as hell.
Unregulated. Cash only business.
You know they ain't filing their taxes. You know what I'm saying?
Yo,
I like that.
I'm not gonna speculate. I'm not gonna speculate because I'm not trying to shut nothing down. That is a place of worship. Okay.
Absolutely.
That they should. You know what? They shouldn't get taxed. That is a place of worship. That is the. No, I agree. I've made a decision.
I've come to
a realization.
I've come to a realization. There's a conclusion.
Any flea market out there in the world that's primarily established by Mexican people does not need in any way, shape, or form to be taxed.
Why they don't get taxed, man? That's hilarious. Now I wonder how inflation is hitting them.
Shit, I don't know.
I'm curious because a lot of the things they be getting, is not, is.
I only hear white people complain about inflation.
We just complained about inflation.
Who?
You.
Before the fajita. Before the fajita. Today was the only time because I was all like, yo, make fajita $3.99 a pound again.
It was.
That's what we need to. That's what we need to go back to. Dude, and I thought
it was expensive before because I remember one time I was like, because this fajita's like right down the street, so I was literally like, let me make myself some like nachos or some like gorditas or something. And I remember this was like maybe a year ago, and I bought myself some fajita, and I was like, this shit's expensive. Like, why are people buying this? Like, why is mom buying this? Like on the regular. And now that when it was $5 something, and I thought it was expensive because I didn't want to be spending no goddamn $30 on fucking meat, and now I can't even buy the amount of meat that I want for $30. That's too much. At the Flamingos, bro, that place is like...
It's tragic. We live in hard times.
We are living in hard times.
We live in hard times, and we must come together for the sake of the carne asada and the barbecue. That's what we need to do.
That sounds like a very interesting... Very...
Yeah. It's a nice change of scenery, though. It is good.
It's nice.
We out. The sun is out,
It's going to be out for a little bit longer.
Yeah, we're trying to take advantage of the light.
It's nice. It really is.
Oh, shit.
Don't be dropping the meat, bro.
Nah, it's good. I'm good. We're good.
I don't know, but they do something. They add something to this. It's probably crack or something. Marinade. I don't know, but I know the marinade is so good. Like, it's like... I've had different kinds, and it's not the best. It's really nice.
Yeah, we've tried quite a bit of
always, man. But you can find everything in Second Ward and Magnolia.
You know what else affected inflation? This is another tragedy. Not just the fajita. The dollar pizza slice is no longer $1.
Really?
100%.
Where did you used to go get dollar pizza slices?
But just in general, like, you know how in New York you go and there's like the dollar pizza slices? They're like, oh, what's slice for $1? And it's like, yo, that's exactly what I need right now. I'm just walking through these streets. It's a dollar pizza slice. That was a staple. That was a staple in the country. The dollar pizza slice. It's not $1 no more. It's like $1.17. Little Caesars, the $5 large pizzas, right? You remember you used to go there, it'd be $5 flat, no problem. $5.55.
Yeah, I saw that. I had that yesterday.
Upset. Who has 55 cents? Who? I don't have 55 cents. I haven't carried coins in years.
I bought 2 pizzas yesterday from Little Caesars, and they was $12.
$12.
I was like, what is this? Like,
that don't even make any sense.
It was $5.55. 2 $5.55 pizzas was $12. First of all, I thought we weren't taxing food.
First of all, I thought taxes was 8.25. What the hell is this?
Exactly.
$12. I was so upset.
I'm telling you,
they're taxing us for nothing.
That's what I thought too. Shit was horrible. I'm really watching you, man. I'm hungry, man.
Yeah, I was getting hungry, right? But it's okay. We got the meat, the guacamole's in there.
The rice.
The rice is in there.
Did you put the onion in there?
Yeah, the onion's in there. The onion's
Yo,
already
man,
in
the
there.
onion be kind of dangerous though, because like shit make you gassy, man. Like onions. I'm glad there's no beans, because when there's beans.
There's no charro beans today?
Nah.
No, we fucked up.
Nah. Because if I'm gonna have that onion, shit does something to me.
I love the charro beans though.
Frijoles a la charra, yes.
They go hard.
They go hard, especially mom's when she make them extra spicy. When she extra mad at dad for getting drunk last night. Beautiful.
Hopefully the salsa is spicy too. So
I'm sure it is, because she was coughing over there right now.
That's how you know. Whenever the salsa is really spicy, it's because mom was really upset. Pops pissed her off somehow. She got in a fight with her mama. the kid ran off somewhere, can't find him for a couple hours.
Yeah, man, that shit was good. It's always good like that. Nah, I always prefer spicy. I know a lot of our family members over in Mexico, like especially on mom's side, they don't like it spicy. They had last time mom made some when they were here, and they were like, "Is this okay? It's not that spicy." I was like, "This shit tastes like tomato. What is this? Like, it just tastes like nothing, like bland as."
This is liquid salad. What is this?
It is a liquid salad.
What is this? This is
and
not
it
spice.
was not good. I was like, this is not it. I want my beans spicy. I want it to be burning in both directions. You know what I mean? Like, it needs. I don't know. I really, really enjoy spicy beans. How are you supposed to put those on there? You just chill them on there?
I think at the very end. Or if mom wants something specific, then she can have it. But I gotta put some sausage in there in a little bit.
You bought sausage?
Mom had sausage already.
Is it the spicy one?
I have no idea.
Jalapenos inside it. See, I don't know. I don't like all that. I like my plain one. I do say I like spicy stuff, but there's just some
spice is one of those things that as Mexicans we can relate to other cultures about, because there's no other Latin American country. Well, virtually no other Latin American country that likes spice the way that we like spice.
That's true. I saw that. I was seeing a couple of like BuzzFeed. There are some BuzzFeed videos of Hispanics all trying different foods and stuff like that. They were trying the spicy stuff, and I was like, y'all really not be eating spicy. Like,
but you know who does?
They use a lot of spices. They just don't use spicy.
But you know who does though? Thailand.
Fuck it up. Yeah, they do.
Indian people, Chinese people. So
that Szechuan pepper be fucking you up, bro.
You can relate to a whole bunch of like different ethnic groups from
Asia.
And
I think everybody except for Japan. I don't think Japanese people be eating like that.
I don't think Vietnamese people eat a lot of spice. But curry?
No, they do.
Curry's spicy, man.
They do. Their pho begin some like slices of jalapenos on that hoe. You ever seen the banh mi's? The banh mi's got jalapenos just sliced up in that hoe. She's good. And they get them raw, too.
Every time I'm around somebody that's like from another part of the world and they eat spice, we click.
We're on a different wavevelength when you be on that kind of stuff. Because you can tolerate each other's food.
Because there's some stuff that they be putting on their food that I'm like, pica for sure.
Mm-hmm. I think Alex has, Alex really likes these like Korean ramen noodles. At first, he was all like, that shit was tough. I remember he would tell me that all the time.
Was it? Was it tough? That shit was hard to get through?
Because they're, I think it's gochujang, pepper, or it's like this pepper paste or pepper, spice that they use is fucking spicy as hell. And that shit is, I think if I'm not mistaken, they fuck around with the Szechuan pepper. Like, that's what they use to like spice up their stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, then they do be giving y'all gochujang paste. Gochujang.
That shit goes hard, man.
It goes hard. Koreans be having some spicy ass food. I had some tteokbokki last time, and I was like, this is not for me. And I'm Mexican.
I had Thai food one time.
Well, I've never had Thai food.
Like,
I really want to try Thai food.
Shit right now. And curry is spicy too.
I've never had curry in my life. I really want to, but I need to get educated. Not only do I want to get, this is the thing.
If there's any Asian people out there that watch the show
that can educate, please
come put us on game.
Put us on game.
We like some spicy ass shit.
I like food, and I really want to try it. I have this. I have some friends that are Korean that kind of put me on some of the Korean shit, and I was like, this is dope. I had some friends that are Chinese be putting me on some good shit too, and I just recently met somebody who was Vietnamese, and I was all like, yo, fuck it up. Can you tell me where to go? Where can I go get some good Vietnamese food? Because this is the thing. You trust a Mexican when they tell you to go eat Mexican food on this little hole in the wall place. Yeah. Because you know that they know what that food is supposed to taste like. So you go in under the assumption that the food is tasting the way it's supposed to. You know what I mean? I'm not going to send you to no gringos. Like, I'm never going to send you there. I'm going to send you to like Tostada Regia or something like that. You know what I mean? So
at the very least.
At the very least. Bare minimum. If not, I'm sending you to Taqueria Monterrey or whatever. You know what I mean?
I always send people to taco buses.
Taco buses too.
I be sending people directly to people's grandmothers. I don't be sending. Facts. I don't be Like even Tostada Regia is pushing a little bit because they franchise.
They are
the moment you franchise, it might be a wrap. The moment a Mexican restaurant opens up another restaurant with the same name, I'm like, it might be a wrap.
I'm not too concerned about that one, only because the owners are in Mexico and they be franchised in Mexico as well. So I'm not sure. Yeah. But either way,
but I'm just skeptical. Yeah. Right off the top, I'm like, all right, I
fuck with it, and I fuck with a lot of like different the buses as you were talking about.
The taco buses go hard.
Yo, do you know which one is good? Which one is it? Taconazo.
Right on Avenue J.
Right on Avenue J, Macario Garcia. That motherfucker, man, the fajita that they get there, I don't know where I would need to ask them too, because their fajita is also very specific. It is very good. They get you the big tortillas. Hell yeah. They get you the big tortillas and they give you double. Because you know how you're always supposed to get double tortillas whenever you're having like tacos? But they give you the tiny little tortillas that you be eating them in like one bite. So they give you the big ones too, and they give you a fuck ton of meat on that hoe. And it's so good. So good. It's expensive. It's not going to be no dollar tacos, but it's good. Because dollar tacos be hitting sometimes, depending on where you go. They're no longer a dollar, as we said.
Dollar tacos, when inflation hits the dollar taco,
I'm going to be pissed.
That's game over, dude.
I'm gonna be pissed, bro, because $1 is already a lot to be asking for a taco. I'm not gonna lie to you, okay? $1 is already a lot to be asking for a taco.
There's like a certain level of like a hierarchy to like what makes like great authentic Mexican food. Mm-hmm. It could be in a restaurant.
Yeah.
It could be in a restaurant, but it's all about the people and who they got cooking in the back and which grandma did the recipe or whatever. You know what I mean? And
that's a fact.
It could also be in a taco bus, and it could be fucking bomb.
Hell yeah, bro.
Bomb. I was talking to
taco buses be my favorite thing.
We were filming at the studio the other day, and I was talking about how
Taco Madre?
Taco Madre had that drive-through, and they revolutionized the game because people would just show up and leave the taco bus, and I was like, yo.
My friend owns it.
Wild. Owns it?
My friend owns it, yeah.
Oh, word?
Hey, your face. Hey, what?
Hey, how come you ain't never hooked it up? Tell them to sponsor the fucking episode. What's going on?
His family owns Taco Madre, man.
And they have a couple.
Yeah, they got a couple.
They have a couple.
They got the ones that right there off South Houston, and they got the one right there off Denver Harbor. Off by I-10.
They got one on Edgebrook, right?
And they got one on Edgebrook.
Edgebrook all the way over there?
Yeah, all the way by South Houston.
That's the only other place, like on that Edgebrook, when you exit 45 and you make a left and you go on Edgebrook, they
got a fuck ton of taco buses, man, and you get to choose, man.
That's Main Street.
There's this one, I don't even know the name of it, but it's really good. Actually, right when you get there, there's like a big ass like when you turn left onto Edgebrook, and there's like this big ass gas station, like a big one. Like a big one, and then it's like gonna be on your left, and there's this taco bus right there, and it's so good. Not $1 taco, but it's really good. Like they got really good stuff. They have the variety. I like it when taco buses have like a staple that's like, for instance, Taconazo really only is, I guess, primarily known for their fajita tacos. You know what I mean? But I like it when taco buses can give me like barbacoa.
For variety,
in the middle of the day. You know what I mean? Because
rest in peace to La Casita.
But I know, y'all, if y'all were from the hood, Magnolia, y'all knew where La Casita was, and she's not coming back. We heard from a family member that doesn't live here, that they found out from somebody that they knew that they're not opening again.
we heard from people that stole from some people that shit wasn't happening no more.
Well, no, I don't know if I want to be airing out their business like this, but like one of their sons was killed.
So yeah, that's where we're gonna have to stop the conversation.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying.
But I feel you though.
So it's just not gonna happen no more, guys. We had to say and part ways with the casita.
But that barbacoa went.
The barbacoa was the best barbacoa I had ever had in my life.
You left the establishment with like fucking with a whole cow's head.
Yo, I remember that shit. That shit was
pick
dope.
Off the fucking
man, the whole when you would get the tongue,
put on
bro.
Camera too right now. The fucking they had to like take the cheek off. I used to get so much pleasure.
My favorite was the la lengua. When they would have to take off the lenguas, like the little scratchety bit. You know what I'm saying? The little thing that like the cow's licking is dry, right? Well, that piece of the lengua had to be taken off of it, so you could get the meat of the lengua. That shit was so good. I swear to God, though, it was kind of nasty, You know, seeing a whole cow's head up in your like kitchen table and all the eyes and stuff, because everything was on there. They weren't gonna take they weren't gonna just like nicely, neatly put it up for you. No, they were just gonna let you do it. They was gonna put it in the fucking oven or whatever the hell they cook it on, and then they gonna give you the head, and you have to tear that shit off, and you gonna have a cadaver of a head with its teeth and everything just chilling right next to you while you eating, and that was it. Like in Alabama when they were killing goats outside. That was a traumatic. That was a coming of age moment for Alex when he saw a goat be killed.
You remember that?
Yeah. He like distinctly remembers.
Like, I have nightmares about it every day.
First, I'm like, why are we gonna look at goats? And I'm like,
why we need the baby goats? For some reason.
Un chivito.
Yeah.
Yo, Pops was like encouraging. That's what he did to me too. Except I have to catch that motherfucker. Because we had a goat for like 6 months, and then it was like Christmas, and then you were literally, it was Christmas. I had to go catch that bitch, and then they fucking slaughtered it right in front of me, and Mom's was like, nah, I don't want to eat that no more. And then they put the goat upside down, and they let the blood drain from the neck into like a cauldron, and they made soup out of the blood.
Yeah, they be doing shit like that, man.
Shit is delicious. You thought it was a pet?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, the coming of age shit. You thought that it was just gonna be a pet? Yeah, man. I feel sorry for your troubles.
I see Dad catch it, and Dad's like,
and not pet it.
He's like, I'm giving 2 options. Either look
or look away.
What am I looking at?
And they be grabbing it by the feet.
Bah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you cried?
Yeah.
Aww.
I remember there was one time we were at home, like in the previous house. There was a time where there was a stray dog, had like mange and rabia and like everything, right? And it was like suffering, like the dog was sick or whatever, right? And Pops was like, gotta kill the dog because it's hurting, it's suffering more. And I was like, nah, I don't want to do it. And he was like, yeah, no, somebody's got to do it. Just look at the dogs out there. And nobody, like, that was around the time that, like, nobody was coming to the hood. Like, not SPCA, not Houston Humane Society.
La Perrera wasn't going to give a fuck about the dogs.
Nobody was trying to go into second ward like that. So, he went out and he was like, all right, we'll just put out his misery. And he was like, but you got to, he told me, do you want to do it? And I was like, no, I don't think I want to do it. And then, but then I kept going back and forth, like, oh, maybe yes, maybe no. And then he was all like, no, but you got to commit though, because if you chicken out, then you gonna make it even more pain. You gotta like clean sweep it. And I was like, nah, I didn't do it. And I didn't watch because it was a dog. It wasn't like a goat. Like I saw the goat when we were little, and I caught the goat, and I even ate that shit, and it was good. I was like, okay, this is cool. This is a culture. Like we got this. Like, you know, we in tune with the earth. You know.
We in tune with the earth.
With the dog, it was different because like the dog had been around the neighborhood, you know, for the past couple months, like chilling. He would follow me. Like when I walked to the bus stop, the fucking dog would go with me to the bus stop and shit, like just chilling. It was a hood companion.
It was fetal eyes, man. It was fetal eyes. It was OG fetal eyes, man.
It was the hood companion for sure.
I don't think I would care either way.
What do you mean?
Like watching a dog die or like killing a dog.
You didn't watch the goat when we were little?
Yeah, I didn't even know that was happening outside. Look, y'all gotta understand though. We live in moments where, you know, patriarchies, man. They kept me inside listening to the gossip. They kept Alex out
to a cheese, man.
Listening. Yo, y'all know how much shit I be knowing about this family just because they're like, well, you a girl, you gotta be inside with the ladies. And it's like, all right, I could end everybody in this family if I wanted to, but I'm never gonna do that. You know what I mean? But anyways,
should you choose to choose violence?
Should somebody choose to fuck with me on a bad day? You know, that Marcelita that would just be chilling on the side of the conversation, she gonna come out and tell you and your mama what you did wrong. But anyways,
that's one thing that like Latinas, like Latino households have on lock. Like the gossip, the chisme is real. The chisme is real.
Shit,
That's why our telenovelas look the way they do.
Because this is exactly how it happens, bro. Like, bro, when I be watching stuff like Teresa or be watching even The Loved Ones, where there be like, there's like this huge misunderstanding in the plot and whatever, it's like, no, I actually believe that could happen, bro, because people be fucking up.
Sorry, we're battling the sun as the sun is coming down. We're trying to make sure that we have our exposure right. We gotta get a little technical, but that's all right.
It be what it be.
Did you watch the last bit of Stranger Things?
I haven't watched Stranger Things.
At all?
At all.
Like, period?
I watched like an episode and then it just got a little too...
Nah, you're missing out.
It's not really my style. Like, I'm not really all that into that style of stuff. Like, I would classify Stranger Things on the like It and like...
You don't like horror like that? It's not that. It borrows from a lot of like horror films because they're inspired by it.
I don't even
But it's not necessarily a horror film.
I don't even think It is a horror film to me per se. Like, I didn't necessarily classify it as like a horror film because it's aliens, bro. I don't know what's...
No, It is the clown.
It is a fucking alien. It's an alien.
Oh shit, for real?
Shit,
Stephen King said that?
King. That's what I'm saying.
I thought it was just a monster.
Nah, G. If it was just about a scary clown, I would have been all for it. I would have been like, "This fucking it." Nah, man, it's a scary clown.
It's a god that manifests itself into
as
a scary clown?
thing to scare people.
Yo, it will have a tough ass time with like a psychopath kid, like a natural born psychopath. That's a movie y'all gotta make. It versus the psychopath kid.
Yeah, or a clown. I don't know, man, because it's the thing. That's why I classify. That's why I classify, it to be part of it, or like a similar aspects of it. Because when I found that out about it, every ounce of fear drained from my body. I was like, you tell me it's a crab. It's a crab.
A crab?
It's a crab. It's a crab.
Pennywise is a crab?
It's a crab. Yeah. It's a fucking crab, man.
Excuse me? So yeah, so Pennywise is a crab.
Pennywise is a fucking crab, man. Like a legit crab. So like this is why when there were Stranger Things came out.
An alien with 6 legs.
A crab.
It's a
crab.
It's not even a full like arachnid.
Yeah. So that's why I was like, whenever I was watching it, I like was watching it and I was like, okay, cool, this is a cool development, it's scary, it's whatever. And then I find out it's an alien, like it's a completely different kind of horror movie than I was anticipating. I was anticipating psycho killer homicidal clown that was trying to kill people, and then it came out to be an alien, and I was like, this is not what I was expecting, nor was it what I wanted. So I classify Stranger Things as something that I was like, this isn't necessary. Anything that has to do with aliens, to me particularly, is not scary.
Well, they're technically not aliens in Stranger Things.
They're
like
otherworldly,
they're creatures from a different dimension.
Yeah, that kind of stuff still don't like. It does not.
But the way they film it is really cool because it romanticizes like 80s nostalgia, like the way of life of the 80s, the kind of the way American cultures.
Now?
Huh?
Is that why this is happening now? Like with the people dressing specific ways?
Well, in the last episode, I talked about it, how like old fashion trends were coming back.
Yeah, I mean, I was aware of the 90s, but I wasn't aware of the 80s.
It's everywhere. Almost every era. There's some version of it because now, like,
I suppose.
I had a conversation with somebody the other day, or actually, a long time ago, about how we live in a society right now, especially when it comes to youth culture. We live in a society where when you're on the internet, you can live in whatever time period you want.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
Before, whatever the trend was, you assimilated to.
Yeah.
You know?
There's really nothing else.
Now, with the power of the internet, if you romanticize punk music, you can find a punk subculture.
Yeah.
If you romanticize 80s fashion, then you can find an 80s subculture. Yeah. If you romanticize 90s fashion, then you can do 90s.
I suppose it's a little weird.
Skate culture.
I feel
emo culture.
I feel like it's really weird for me. Like, for instance, the reason why maybe 80s culture might have been prevalent in my life as somebody who was born in the late 90s was because my parents are young. So they were really young in the 80s. Yeah, so they were in their teens in the 80s. So to me, to hear like 80s music was nothing weird. Like, it was just like, that's what I'm growing up with listening on Sunday when we're cleaning. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, when, I hear like Timbiriche, like, that is what it is. Like, it's just, so it's crazy to see to me that there's kids or teenagers that like their parents weren't like 80s kids and they are listening to stuff like this because of the internet. Like, 90s was because you were a teenager in the 90s. So
I was a
you were a kid.
School age.
You were a kid in the 90s, and I was born in the 90s, late 90s. But
my teenage years were the 2000s.
So I remember a lot of the cultures coming from that, and like emo stuff. Like, I grew up with it. Like, I was a kid in it, so I was so it's really interesting to me.
The point that I was making before is that like
how we can just live through
we used to go from one era to the other.
Yeah.
Like, you could very clearly say like, okay, Flappers, 1920s. Oh, okay, like
right
vaudeville.
Now it's like a
okay, like, you know what I mean? But now we live in a time where it is just like an amalgamation of whatever it is that you like. You know what I mean? If you romanticize 80s rom-coms, right?
Yeah.
Breakfast Club and 16 Candles and things like that.
You can
do that. You can do that on your own time because the internet exists, and you can have it on your own. All these streaming services, and then you can emulate it. And you're not necessarily an outsider. The term outsider, you know how like it's very cliche how like in certain movies when you're in school there is like the outsiders, the kids that don't. In Stranger Things they highlight that more. Like that's the trope is that they're highlighting kids that are not the cool kids. They're the outsiders. They're the kids that play Dungeons and Dragons. They're the kids that are like really nerdy, that are like you know what I mean, the equivalent of like a 90s or like a 2000s, like the kids that were always playing like Yu-Gi-Oh in the
thinking like Big Bang Theory, like
stuff like that.
People that are like,
but like not nerdy in that way, not nerdy in like book smart kind of way, where like like Sheldon is like uber like intellectual, and like just unaware, like not self-aware of how nerdy is. Nerdy in the sense that like they're the goth kids, the metal kids. They kind of started hinting at like the metal, that was happening in the late 80s, and especially in this last season. So they slowly go from like late 70s, early 80s, and then now in this latest episode they're starting to creep up to the 90s. So they hit it right on the fucking money. Like the way that they wear, they go to the mall, and when they're at the mall, that was like the height the mall thing. You know what I mean? Like even when I was a teenager, like you still went to the mall to go and like talk to girls. You still went to the mall to try and like you would spend your whole day at the mall.
You literally would spend the whole day at the mall.
You know what I mean?
You'd get your mama to drop you off early. You would go to Forever 21. You would end up at you would go to like Aeropostale. You'd go to Hollister.
Just so much. You just chill at
Hot
the food
Topic
court.
Spencer's.
There was always a movie theater there. Like you would spend your whole day at the mall. And so like that was they bring back all of those things, and it's just it becomes like a very, very interesting time capsule, which now in today's society it's very hard. Like think 20 years from now, right? 20 years from now it's going to be very difficult trying to paint a picture of what it was like in 2020.
There's so much.
Why? Because everybody could be whatever they want. You know what I mean? Anybody. I went drinking yesterday. I went drinking yesterday. There was a point in time where if you went out bar hopping, there was a certain attire that was acceptable. Even clubs and bars were like, yo, like t-shirts and tennis shoes, not acceptable. Right? Because it was a nightlife, right? Now, there was people in shorts, there's people in t-shirts, there's people in Chelsea boots, but there's also people in like like nice tennis shoes, like you know what I mean, like
there's so much.
And then for women also, like the range
Style
is so we are living in such a like truly a melting pot of a melting pot of what's the word I'm looking for, like a melting pot of characters, like what we like. Here's a better way to put it. Before, you used to fit into one box, one category. Yeah. Now you can fit into multiple at any given point in time at the same time, or you can fit into a different one the next day. Yeah, you know what I mean.
I love that. And
as much as that's really cool, because I like it too. Like everybody should be able to do whatever they want, right? As much as that's really cool. It also makes it very difficult to think about how we're gonna be depicted. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? A lot of the lines. It's a very curious thing. I'm all for it, but it's a very curious thing. Yeah. But it also brings this like really weird hybrid of like fashions. I know we talked about like the shoes that I didn't like before or whatever, like in the last episode, and I still stand by that. But it doesn't change the fact that comes from the fact that like, we're not trying to push things to a new era. Yeah. We're making the new era the combination of all
the eras that we've liked.
Of all of the eras. You know what I mean?
I see that because I've seen on Instagram a lot of people who just do like I've seen it gone. I think the most solid one that I've seen go back to is the 50s. I haven't really seen anybody really dress in like 40s, 30s, 20s. I think that's going a little too far back. I think they take a little bit of aspects from those eras and they take certain things that they like from them and they'll wear them. But I think the one that I've seen a lot of people just kind of like stick on and like actually wear outfits that are replications and or inspiration from the 50s and then so on. So like 50s, 60s, 70s, there was 80s and 90s culture, even the early 2000s. Even the early 2000s. It goes back to me feeling real old. Even the early 2000s is like a trend. And I'm like, bro, I have clothes that still exist. I have clothes that my mom has from us being kids that she has that were like
from the early 2000s.
From the early 2000s. Like there is 2010s. Like that was a thing I remember growing up through. I was a teenager at that time. And it was like...
We went to New Orleans in December. And it's so curious about that because we would go and we would like, shop around and just, sightsee, and I would people watch because that's what, I love to do, not in like a creepy way, but like in an artistic way. And there was like boutiques. There was like boutiques that were like very specifically niche, like 1930s dresses, only 1930s dresses, and like, or stuff like that, and or like suit. And and it was like, that's really cool that like that's the really good thing about the culture that we live in now, is that maybe we're not stepping into a new era in the way that like whenever we were kids they thought about the future as like this very specific thing, right? Like this very specific shiny like different color, like very like sleek chic or whatever. We're not heading into that kind of era anymore. Instead, we're keeping all the other eras alive.
I think that's cool.
You know what I mean? Like the marketplace for 1920s flapper dresses, the marketplace for like a novelty shop that specializes in like a very specific type of, or a boutique shop that specializes in a very specific type of fashion or a very specific niche audience can thrive because they can exist as a storefront somewhere in the country or whatever, right? But then they can also be on Amazon, and they can also be on online, on Facebook, and people can order from all over the world, and they can keep their business open, despite the fact that like foot traffic wise, it doesn't get enough people opening the door. And that I think is the cool part about the way that we're living right now, is that like there are so many things that have popped back up that is keeping a lot of the eras that we were a part, that we come from, kind of alive.
I enjoy that a lot. As someone who likes to dabble in a lot of different like fashion, I don't necessarily think I pertain to just like early 2000s or like 90s trends, which are some of my favorite at the moment. I have a lot of different styles that I like dabble into every once in a while, and I honestly really enjoy how easy it is for me to just be like, I don't know, like a specific style of dress that I'm looking for, it's so easy for me to just go on the internet and say this style. You know what I mean? Like a A-line cut midi dress, like a thing. You know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff that's like super easy for me to look for, and it's inspired by 80s. It's inspired by, you know, 70s, like bell bottoms, stuff like that are like, you know, you really don't see often in any of the places that we're going to right now at the moment. But it's so easy for me to find like you said, a novelty shop from the middle of nowhere.
It's pretty cool.
And I think it's really interesting. I like the way that it allows for the expression for you to be a different person every day. I dress like a different person every single day.
Yeah.
Like I'm wearing an outfit right now that like if with these pants alone I could pair with a different top and different shoes, and it's going to give you a completely different vibe.
Yeah.
I can make this look very hippie. I can make this look very 90s. I can make it look very whatever I wanted to make it look, just so long as I accessorize it to what I want. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah. No, really it's a really cool time that we're living in right now. It's very specific, and I've noticed it's very hard. Here's the other thing: it's very hard to be in fashion.
Yeah, there's no in fashion right
There's
now.
No in. There's no
there
in
just
because
is.
The only thing that exists is, can you pull it off?
Yeah. Can you pull it off?
That's really the only thing that exists.
That's so true.
Do you have the confidence or the look or the facial structure or the body type or whatever it is, whatever combination of things, can you just pull it off? And if you can pull it off, then you don't look bad.
Yeah, you did.
Right?
Yeah.
Whereas before it was all like, bro, you cannot pull that off. Like you're trying to be in fashion right now, but you cannot pull that off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The whole we wear pink on Wednesday shit is dead.
Yeah, and
it's dead.
I really,
you know what I mean?
I think the inclusivity of it all, though, I think it came to a point where like society as a whole, and I feel like before the counterculture was always provided by like the teenager, like the growing yeah, but like I feel like as the growing adult, like if you were in your 30s, you look like you were in your 30s and you could tell.
Yeah.
Before, I feel. And if you were in your 20s, you could tell that it was because of that. I feel like now, both. I feel like now, I don't think it's just the teenagers providing the counterculture. I think the teenagers, alongside the 20-year-olds and the 30-year-olds, are, they're defining what it is to look, they're defining what it is to be human in all aspects, as something to be very, you know, multifaceted. Like, I don't think neither 30-year-olds nor 20-year-olds nor teenagers are allowing there to be some sort of, like, rule for how you're supposed to look now.
No, 100%.
Because, like, 30-year-olds now can dress like they dressed in the 90s. And a lot of them are like, yeah, fuck it, why not? Like, I like dressing like this in the 90s. But take it back 10 years ago, if you were a 30-year-old dressing like you were in the 90s, they'd be like, bruh, you're not a teenager no more. Go dress like your age.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And nowadays, you could be a 30-year-old who dresses like Kim K, and that's fine. You could be a 30-year-old who dresses like Avril Lavigne, and that's fine. You could be a 30-year-old who dresses like a model, and it's totally fine.
Yeah.
Like, and it doesn't matter what type of body you have. It doesn't matter what it is. It's just like, it's total, like the world is giving you the okay to just do whatever you want. Because, like you said, do you have the confidence for it? It's not even, do I have the confidence to look good in it? Am I just okay with looking however I want to look?
Right.
You know what I mean? That in and of itself is giving people like confidence to just be whatever. That includes women who might be plus size, men who might be plus size, like, though all of that encompassing stuff, I think is really.
And
like,
I've seen
chill.
some people pull some shit off.
Yo, man,
like
people
every
be
time,
pulling it off.
You know, like I said, I went out yesterday. Shout out to Anvil Bar and Refuge. They hooked it up last night, but like. You go out and you're like, man, that person looks fantastic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And not like typical standard beauty type, right? It's just like, man, they pulled that shit off. Like,
yeah.
You are rocking that
like,
shit.
Like, you did your work.
Yeah.
You did your work. You got the right stuff.
And you know what a lot of it is? A lot of it is confidence.
Yes. I think 100,000%.
It's most
I think it's all confidence.
Like, something about being able to, like, look the way you feel automatically gives you confidence. I was having a conversation the other day where somebody was asking me the power of like apologies, right? And I have a very, very, very jaded view of apologies in general.
Explain.
I realized.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a question. Does saying sorry matter to you?
In any situation?
Yeah.
I would say, I mean, yeah, I think the act of saying you're sorry is one thing, but it sounds super cliche and sounds super I think super reiterated, like it's been said too much, but the idea of saying you're sorry and acting on the feeling of being sorry for what you've done, two different things. So to me, yeah, I'd like to hear you say you're sorry, but it's more about how you're acting on the feelings that you say are feelings of sorrow, sorry. So to me, you could tell me you're sorry about you could tell me you're sorry for hitting me, but then still go on and hit me or something. You know what I mean? Not me particularly, but anybody in general, an abuser or anything in general. To me is you could say it, but then do you really do it? Are you really putting your money where your mouth is? So to me, the concept of saying you're sorry, it's not necessarily something I look forward to or expect from somebody. It's just something that I could do with or without. So to me, the idea, I don't know, because I've had a lot of people tell me they're sorry about stuff and then go on to do it again. You know what I mean? So it also kind of brings back that fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me type of situation. So I don't know. Sorries are just really, I don't know. Maybe it's just a thing. How do you feel about sorries? On top of the fact that you said you feel really jaded about it.
I don't like them. No. I have never.
Or you don't like to receive them?
So when we were talking about it, right? It dawned on me. How many times, can I point to a situation specifically where somebody has apologized to me and it made a difference? That was the defining question for me, right? In the abstract and the big picture, right? How important are sorries, right? And then when you go to therapy, they talk about forgiveness and stuff. And when you go to if you've ever been addicted to something, right? The 12-step program, there's part of it where you have to go apologize and come to terms with how you've affected people and whatnot, things like that. So then I was kind of going back and forth, and I think on one end, if I have to come to terms with things that I've done, and part of that conversation means I have to own up to my mistakes, then I'm perfectly okay with that. And I'm perfectly cool with that. But I don't necessarily think that requires a sorry. I think people, not at least for me. I think people in general like the apology because it shows remorse.
Yeah, I see that.
It shows remorse, and it shows that you are aware of somebody else's pain, and that
acknowledgement,
and you're acknowledging their pain, and that in some way, shape, or form, you're conceding to the fact that it shouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
Or that the pain is justified, and that you empathize with it.
Yeah.
For me, on a personal level,
yeah.
I have never cared if somebody empathizes with me about my pain. Ever. Never. No, on a personal level, I went back to that question. Has there ever been a time in my life where somebody has apologized to me about anything? It could be big or small, but of course I was thinking big, where either hearing the apology or having said an apology would have made a difference.
Yeah.
And I could not, for the life of me, figure out a moment that, even to this day, where I'm like, this person really hurt me, and I could really use an apology.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, it was the opposite. There are some people that I fell out with that I get curious about, like, should we ever talk again, right? That I have questions about.
Yeah.
But if they say sorry to me, I think it would infuriate me more.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
You know what I mean?
I see that, yeah.
I think that it would make me so angry to hear those words, as opposed to, like, I'm glad you said it, now I can move on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
See, yeah.
I've never,
I don't,
and for the life of me, I can't figure it out.
Yeah.
I can't figure out if there has been a moment in my life where an apology would have mattered. Like, if you know what I mean? Or if I've heard an apology and they've been like, and it's actually made a difference and it made me feel better. Or if having heard an apology from somebody would have made me feel better.
It.
And I can't find one.
I don't know if,
I can't find one.
And I think too, I'm thinking like two things specifically for you. The fact that, like, maybe the idea of an apology I think as a man, mainly as a woman talking to you as a man, the idea of apologies is, I do feel like, it's more of like a woman thing. Like, I feel like culturally,
you think so?
I do 100% think so, because I mean, if you look into just society's trends on the way that when men and women should, you know, treat themselves and treat each other, women are taught that, like, women have to go say sorry for something. It means a lot. It means a lot to do that, and women don't like to do that, I feel.
Well, I think there's a discomfort if anybody has to do that.
And I feel I feel like it's taught, though, that, like, I don't know, maybe it comes from my background as a Latina woman. Maybe I can only speak for Latino women, or maybe I could just speak for myself. Either one. But I feel like in the culture that I grew up in, that saying sorry was like admitting defeat. So it grew to that connotation. So anytime,
well, sometimes you are wrong.
No, yeah, and
you know what I mean?
And I feel like that's 100% true.
Sometimes people are wrong, and then they're like, "Oh, crap!
Yeah,
like I shouldn't have done that."
What
like,
I'm trying to say more is on the lines of, like, saying sorry became something that wasn't as meaningful. It felt like a lot of the times people just threw the sorry around to kind of, like,
it was crying wolf.
Band-aid the situation, you know what I mean? So I feel like as a man who grew up in that kind of society as well, it might have become something that was like, well, why are you telling me you're sorry if it's just a sorry? Like, it's not necessarily something that has as much of an impact. It's more of like, well, like, let's see if you acknowledge what happened and be like, hey, yo, like, this happened, and, you know, I don't really feel the best about what happened on my end. I'm feeling really, you know, whatever. It didn't sit right with me that I did this to you. I just want to let you know, like, moving forward, that's not something that you're going to see from me. And I feel like that kind of acknowledgement of the situation to you might be more meaningful than somebody being like, hey, I'm sorry for what I've done.
And for the record, I have done that. I have done that. I have like very, very consciously said, okay, I understand how this hurt you, and this is what I'm going to do to correct or rectify that situation. Yeah. But that is not an apology.
No, it's not an apology.
That is a course of action. That is like a plan. Yeah. Right? I'm cool with a plan.
And people want apologies.
Yeah. Specific, and people want apologies.
And I don't know, again, speaking on women's behalf or on my behalf as a woman, but I feel like I've seen a lot more women be like, but you didn't even say you're sorry.
Right.
Like, you didn't even tell me you're sorry. It's like, I didn't realize I mean, for me, again, this might be a family thing, though, because I feel like I don't gotta tell you you're sorry. I'm sorry. If one, if I'm not sorry for it, then why would I tell you I'm sorry just to make you feel better? Two, if I'm not putting in the action to fix it, my I'm sorry just completely negates itself. So if I still can't internalize what I did to you as something that was wrong, that sorry is meaningless. And so if I still can't get there, I'm not even going to be able to have that conversation of like, hey, I messed up here, and here, and I'm trying to fix it. You know what I mean? Because I still don't get it. And that there's times where you just don't get that, like where you're not there yet. You know what I mean? But when I have gotten there and I've said, damn, la regué. And I'm like, damn, like this was it. Like I really fucked up. You know what I mean? I shouldn't have done that. So I've done the hey, you know, I'm acknowledging the fact that this happened, that I did this, that I said this, that this is how it was, and how it could have been perceived as wrong, how it was wrong, you know, on both levels. I think we both understand, you know, that it is what it is. But I don't really say I'm sorry, because if I'm coming to you with that understanding now, it's with the idea that I will not run that course of action again, and I will run towards I'm not doing that again. You know, we're already done fucked up, and I'm not gonna fuck it up again. You know what I mean? So that is how I'm perceiving it when I perceive my wrongs. And you know, we were taught from a very young age, you know, like, you fuck up, you gotta go clean that shit up on your own. You gotta figure it out on your own, and you're gonna have to understand that you fucked up. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like, it's you live and you learn, and it's like, all right, you fucked up, how you gonna fix it? How are you going to fix it? What are you going to do now?
Fixing it was the emphasis.
Fixing
it was the emphasis for us.
What are you going to fix? What did you learn from it, and how are you going to fix it? Because if you say you're sorry and you don't know how to fix it,
worthless.
It's worthless.
And meaningless.
And meaningless. So, I mean, I'm not saying that I wouldn't tell somebody I'm sorry, but I'm not going to throw the sorry around like that unless it's still
It made me also think about back on the other side when you flip the is it getting dark? Which one? Mine is getting dark? All right, I'll go fix it. Pause. We got to fix these things. No, you can keep it on.
The light now, Margaret? Es que se está bajando el...
And hers is fine? Yes. Oh, Marcela's fine. You sure?
Están correctando la luz. He doesn't have a mic. No le trajimos su mic. I don't think you say you're sorry either, huh? For the most part. When somebody's like, you didn't tell me you were sorry.
I only say I'm sorry when I'm really sorry. No, okay.
I'm clearly not sorry.
So it made me go back and think, like, reverse one. Have I ever acted in a way? Because, okay, maybe you're right. Maybe on a family level, on a cultural, like, upbringing level, we were kind of, like, harped on, like, execution of fixing the problem, not so much like words and lip service, right? Like actions and deeds and not words and lip service, right? It made me wonder, has there been points in time where people would have felt better if I would have said sorry? And I didn't say it. And I made people feel bad because I didn't say it, and that's what they needed.
Yeah.
And I just didn't say it
also valid.
Because I never need it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So then it brought on the other question is, should I have said sorry, not because I think it's necessary for me, but because it might be necessary for them.
And I think...
And it like threw me for a fucking loop. It made me be like, holy crap. Like,
because...
what if there's apologies that I need to give out for the sake of closure on their part? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
And then how much of that is my responsibility, and how much of that, like, obviously I didn't go and like rehash old arguments and go and find people or, you know, something like that. But like, how much of that am I responsible for? And do I then have to bear the burden of being viewed as a bad person to some people, despite the fact that I think that may be a lapse of judgment?
Yeah. Well, I think based off of that...
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think it kind of goes back to now you realize that the world is not just Juan. You know, it's not just Juan in motion doing his thing. You know what I mean? It's quite literally... it takes time, I think, for people to get to that understanding of like, oh, what I'm doing is also affecting you in a different way. You know what I mean? And I think... like at a certain point in time, I've come to that realization of being like, okay, I gotta own up to the fact that my actions and stuff does affect you in a specific way, and I have to be conscious of how I need to treat that person based off of what they need, because I'm running on I was running on the assumption of like, you're not treating me the way that I need to be treated, and and then it was like,
but what if there's just like an incompatibility?
Yeah,
what if they just aren't compatible and they think that they're doing right and you think they're doing wrong?
And it dawned on me, because this didn't come to me until after my last relationship, which was a long relationship, and in this relationship, that was the argument that we kept coming to back to it could have been every other argument that you could think of about whether or not you should be leaving your dirty socks in the restroom, or whether or not you bought the right meat. You know what I mean? Like, it was all boiling down to the single core argument of like, your language and my language, and we ain't talking the same one. You know what I mean? So, but it didn't dawn on me that I needed to be somebody who should talk my partner's language as well, or should learn to talk their language. You know what I mean? All I could think of at the moment was, you're not speaking my language and I'm upset about it. And I don't know why you're not speaking my language.
Which you still have a right to be upset about.
No, of course. And then coming to the realization of like, that I'm not speaking yours either. You know what I mean? But I think the downfall for a lot of people is like, maybe one person comes to that conclusion and is like, damn, let me try do my part in doing that for you. But then the other person still hasn't come to that conclusion yet. Like, it's still, they're still processing in their mind, and it's totally valid to take your time to get there, or maybe to never even get there. There's people who don't, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But like, getting to that point, it's very personal and like, it's different for everybody, because everybody's dealing with their own traumas and their own things on their own. So, to me, it dawned on me only after my kid was, diagnosed with autism, and it was all like, oh damn, I really got to learn how to speak somebody else's language, like quite literally speak somebody else's language. And it dawned on me that, hey, I haven't been speaking, my partner's language. Thus, that sorry that they needed, like you said, completely went out the window, because to me it didn't matter whether or not that sorry was there, because to me it wasn't necessary. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, the sorries, our dad's chilling here, guys, just so you know.
Pops is backstage. He's behind the scenes right now.
He's on the scenes. And he just spins some facts. And he's like, saying you're sorry fixes a lot of things. You know what I mean? And for us, saying you're sorry might not fix anything for me, but it could fix the world for somebody else.
I think Pops hits it right on the head. I realized that if people tell me that they're sorry, it might not really affect me. When I see that they're doing things that make them sorry, then I'm like, okay, cool, you've redeemed yourself. But to other people, it might actually fix a lot of things. And it was like a very like crude realization that like the way that I behave, and I'm finding out right now in front of you guys, because we're all family, right? The way that we behave, the way that we've been brought up under the notion of actions and deeds, not words and lip service.
Yes. And then you know what? This kind of brings back to something that I noticed online. I've actually been seeing this trend going around in how I believe Asians, and I mean Asians like China, Indian and stuff like that, like maybe people from the Middle East as well. I've been seeing these little videos pop up on Reels talk about how they don't say I love you to their kids. But because to them, they're like, I don't need to say I love you when I'm cutting up fruit for you to study with and have a snack for.
Yeah.
Type of situation. You know what I mean? And it kind of brings back the idea of like, in our family specifically, we maybe didn't need that sorry, but maybe going back to like, we didn't need that I love you. Mom, I don't really feel like my mama ever told me she loved me.
I think Moms tells me she loves me more now than when we were.
Yeah, and I feel like that was because we kind of grew up to
But I think it's because of absence. I think it's because we're not in the proximity with each other as much as we used to. So now like you get these thoughts of like, oh, like I wonder what my son is doing, or I wonder what Mom's is doing, I wonder what Pops is doing. I do that too every now and then. I send an I love you text or something like that. But it's just because of a lack of proximity. It's not because
we're naturally clingy people.
No, yeah.
You know what I mean? We're not.
No, we're not. Our family's definitely not clingy at all.
I think out of all of us, I think our mother is the clingiest person in our family.
And mom's not clingy, bro.
And even then,
mom is not clingy.
Compared to other people, it's not as clingy. But like it just goes to the point that I'm making, right? Is that like there's a very specific like nature versus nurture question happening here that I didn't realize was at play until I was asked that question, and then I was like, holy crap! Like this concept is a lot more complicated than I thought. Because I had a very clear cut answer. I had a very like an answer that was like, oh no, like this is how you feel about it. It's not necessary X, Y, and Z. You know what I mean? That's the way that I had it. But then talking to other people about the concept of the question, not actual problems, just the concept of the question, I was like, holy crap! Like now we're having this is a very interesting string to pull at. You know what I mean? And it's been I was wrestling with it for like a week, just like sitting there in my head, and I was like, man, this is very interesting. And I was trying to be like as self-reflective as possible, thinking about my own personal life, and then like realizing some things about how I feel about those kinds of things. And it made me all the things that I've just said, but then there's a very unique feeling where like when people apologize to me, a lot of times I get more irritated. Because I hear what you're saying, but I don't see what you're doing. And that for me is like,
because I think for us, honestly, I feel like that's kind of similar to how I've registered sorries before. Because in my mind, I'm like, bro, you speaking out your ass. Like, you aren't meaning you're sorry. Because you could tell me you're sorry right now, and the next thing you know, you're still leaving your dirty stuff on the floor. You know what I mean? So, like, to me, I'm like, I need you to put your money where your mouth is. I rather you not say it and do it than you say it and not do it.
And that's
say it and then I'm still like, where, when, because like, or it's taking too long or whatever.
And that's the other that's the other philosophical conundrum, right? Theory versus execution, right? Like saying it is the theory.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I know how to play my part. I know how to say it. I know how to regurgitate the things that need to be said right now, right? But execution is doing it, right? And in a perfect world, you do both, right? In a perfect world, you say it and then you do it, right? But if you had to only pick one, which one would you want? And my answer is do it.
1,000% do it.
You know what I mean? My answer is do the things that you need to do to make sure that problem doesn't exist anymore, even if I'm not involved in the picture.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
Like, even if I'm not involved in the picture, let's say, let's put it into like drastic terms, right? Like if I'm in a relationship with somebody and they are unfaithful or something like that, and I choose to say I don't want to be with this person anymore.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't absolve you from having to fix your behavior.
Oh yeah.
If you do it, go out there into the world, feel what you got to feel, fix the behavior, make sure that it doesn't happen again. Not for my sake, for your sake.
For your sake.
For the next relationship that you're in.
Yeah.
For whoever you decide to build a life with, because I have a right to say, I don't want to participate in this connection anymore. You have fractured it to the point where I don't feel comfortable here anymore. So I'm going to go do something else. It's my choice, right? But it doesn't mean that you shouldn't do your part in fixing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, I still would rather you do the thing to fix the problem, not just tell me that you're sorry. Because I might still walk away if you tell me you're sorry.
Yeah.
If once I set my mind to it, it doesn't matter how many times you tell me you're sorry. I'm doing it. I'm walking away. You know what I mean? But I've realized that even on my end too. Like, there's been people that have walked away from me, or there's been situations where, man, you saw that shit, dog? that was a whole pterodactyl.
That was it.
Like, there's been people that have said, like, oh, you know, we have to, like, part ways or whatever. Well, for whatever circumstance. It doesn't have to be drastic like that.
Yeah.
Where I've said to myself, oh, there's some things about that interaction that I'm not necessarily proud of. So, or those interactions. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure that that never happens again, instead of saying, like, oh, I'm only going to fix that if I'm with this person.
Yeah.
Like, no. I'm going to fix that wholesale. Like, from one end to the other. Yeah. Blanket.
Because ultimately, that fixes, that's for you. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, whatever your like for me personally, you know what I mean? It's kind of hard not to reference my relationship, it being the longest one I've ever been in and my most recent one. But I had to come to the acknowledgement of I messed up on, X through Z, or A through Z, all of these things that I did, that I messed up in, and that it took me a while to internalize and be like, I messed that up. You know what I mean? I should not have done what I did, for whatever reason that was. But now, as somebody who's single, somebody who isn't involved or romantically involved with anybody, it is my responsibility to say, Marce, you did this, and it's never going to happen again, because I'm doing my part of internalizing my rights and my wrongs, and then also bettering the wrongs that I have done, even if I will no longer or ever be with my ex again. You know what I mean? Even if my ex is like, bro, you messed this and this and up, and then it's like, yeah, you're right, but and we're never gonna be together again, because he's like, well, I don't ever want to be with you again because of what you did. And
super fair. Yeah.
And it's like, I get that. I mean, who nobody wants to be uncomfortable in a relationship. Yeah. So I get it 1,000%, and I support your decision, because neither do I. I don't want to be with you anymore. But I need to acknowledge that I messed that up. I need to acknowledge, and for instance, the easiest one, when I was being toxic to a certain degree, purposefully, I can't do that again. Like I can't sit there in my next relationship and be toxic, like consciously toxic, and be like, oh yeah, this is normal. Like, oh yeah, this is what I'm supposed to do. Like, yeah, I'm gonna just pretend like I'm not being toxic. Like, no, I owe it to myself. Like, I can't sit there and just pretend again. Like, I can't sit there and pretend anymore, because now I know. Like, before I didn't even know I was being toxic. I was just being fucking crazy. But now that I'm like, yo, that's crazy bitch behavior, I can't just comfortably sit there and do it again, because I'm like, what's wrong with me? Like, now that is psychotic at that point. That's not crazy.
Right.
You're purposely being psychotic. Like, that sounds really scary. You know what I mean? So the idea of coming to terms with everything that you do and then going to change it for yourself, that's literally for nobody else but for yourself, because that person might never ever forgive you for what you did. Sure. That person might never forget it.
What's a really good example of this is your family dynamic.
That too.
Like, there's like the very big trope of Alejandro, let me know if the color changes and it needs to be brighter, I can fix it. There is a okay, yeah, if it goes completely off, just let me know. There is the trope that like the older brother gets the most like a completely different parent than the younger sibling.
Oh, yeah.
And it dawned on me while I was thinking about this that like maybe if you manage to get to the point where the oldest gets a different parent than the youngest, it might be because the parent went through the corrective action.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
1,000%.
It might be because the parent did the doing instead of the saying.
Yeah.
Instead of having to repeatedly say, "Oh, my bad," they were like, "Learn from that. This one's not gonna get that. Learn from that. That one's not. I'm not gonna do that to this kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
I ain't gonna tell you that.
And then of course there's like the funniness of like, oh, like the fucking. Like the oldest being all upset or whatever. Like I've said this before. Like, man, y'all ain't never got disciplined, or like, yeah, you know what I mean. There's that big, because I'll get on to y'all about it. But that might be part of what's at play there, right? Like people are mature and people are getting older, and then there's corrective action, and at least we'll speak for our family dynamic. If we've already established that we were kind of told, actions and deeds, not words and lip service, then it just it proves the point even more whenever there's actual action from top down.
Yeah.
From heads of the household down.
You know what? I think it's crazy because,
which, by the way, we just heard a gunshot, so it's all good.
Multiple of them. It is what it is.
Oh, maybe it's fireworks. My bad. It's far enough away to where it sounds the same, but it is 4th of July, even though 4th of July is canceled.
It is. I saw actually kind of like slightly going off topic just for this one, because you thought you heard a gunshot. It's the I just saw a tweet that was like, oh, we're on that time of the year where I get confused whether or not it's a gunshot or or like a fireworks, and I'm like, that's crazy to me to see people really be like, I'm not sure, because it's so common in our like, not our society, in our hoods, for there to be like gunshots. Like, bro, open second word, you be hearing the gunshots and you're like, I don't know, let me go back to sleep. You know what I mean? It's like you're hearing the trains. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like passing. It's whatever. And then you go on the Neighbors app and all of a sudden, did you guys hear that gunshot over there by Eastway?
Yo, the Neighbors app is
it's funny.
It's just snitching.
That's
what the Neighbors app is. That's what the Neighbors app is, just snitching. I'm on a group chat with all the neighbors or whatever, so they'll be sending screenshots. I don't have the Neighbors app.
Of the Neighbors app?
They'll be sending screenshots of like the like what happened down the street or whatever, and I'm like, why you snitching on the Gutierrez's? Like, they ain't doing nothing. They're fine. They'll stop snitching on people. That's all the Neighbors app is. I was so mad. I was like, man, I wonder what people be saying about me.
I have it, and it's hilarious. I think it's funny. But going back to what we were saying, I think for us specifically in our family, we got a lot of like the lessons that we learned or that we were told by our parents were exactly that where they put their money where their mouth was, and they put it there before they even taught us that lesson, if that makes any sense. Because like you said, I'd honestly never thought about the fact that the corrective parenting that was done in our household, coming from like the backgrounds that our families came from, like, you know, both of our family, like both sides of the family, mom was brought up in a very different way that dad was brought up. So like the idea that corrective parenting started from the get-go, even if we consider how they parented you first might have been slightly faulted and then slightly corrected as we were getting older, or better said, as they had more kids in the long run. But even then, if you think about it, they were doing it from the get-go just based off of them trying to correct, you know, the parenting that might have been done to them. You know what I mean? But I think it's very interesting to see how we can see how it was done. And so whenever I think at my parenting, for instance, I'm like, look, it's okay that I messed up right now. I think about it and I'm like, it's okay that I didn't know what the fuck to do when my kid was 3 months old. You know what I mean? It's okay, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing right now, because in a year from now, I'm going to not make the mistake that I'm making right now, because I'm understanding it. I'm grasping the concept. I'm getting better at it, and I'm going to fix it. And ultimately, I mean, there's no way you're not going to fuck up with your kids. Like, there is going to be one day in my daughter's life where she's going to come at me and be like, you fucked up. And I'll be like, yeah, I sure did.
Yeah.
And there's nothing that is gonna fix the fuck ups that I did, because
there are a couple things in life that are inevitable, right? Dying and fucking up.
Yeah. There's just no way. You're gonna
no
fuck
way
up.
to avoid it.
You're gonna fuck up. But the corrective actions that I take to be better, do better for myself, do better for my kid, do better for y'all, it makes a difference. You know what I mean? And it truly, I feel like, was reflected upon within our family dynamic. Just, I feel like from the get-go, like I said, like I don't think there's been a time where I don't remember. Like, for instance, I think one time, if I remember correctly, I was in the car with dad, and dad had just picked me up from school for whatever reason. I don't know if Alex was there, but I can't remember you being there for some reason. But I remember me being in the car with dad, and we were coming up Mikawa. And I remember I was specifically telling dad, I was like, Dad, I don't like that you did this. And I like remember specifically, like, kind of like, I think going through the points of where I thought that dad like might have done something to, I don't know if it was to upset me. I don't know if I just didn't think it was the right thing to do or whatever. And dad just sat there, and at the end of it, he's like, I mean, you're not wrong. Like, he was just like, well, you're right about that. Fuck. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, well, okay. I did that. Yeah, okay. Well, let's, move on from that. I don't know if I ever remember, I can't remember exactly what it was that my dad did to make me feel whatever I felt enough to actually have to say it. But I know that he never made me feel that way again. So I don't know if if like he just didn't do it around me, or if it was like you gotta if you didn't know that it was happening and you did it, okay. But now that somebody's told you, I don't know if in his mind again it sat in I can't sit there comfortably doing this again, knowing that my daughter was upset at the fact that I did this. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think the like I was saying, like the fact that I said what I had said to them, and then being able to correct it, like all in all, I think that's how because this happened very young. Like I was very, very young when this particular incident happened, and so much so that I can barely remember the incident. I just remember the action in and of itself. So to me, that was so impactful, and to see grown-ups be like, yeah, you're right. Like to not dismiss the validity of my statements, or to not dismiss the validity of what I was feeling just because they were grown-ups, I think was super impactful. And it led me to be like empathetic towards others throughout my life. And also just the concept of like, just because you are older than me, just because you are in a different I don't know, tax bracket, just because you're in a different or a position of authority does not mean you're right. Like it's constantly been like told to us. I feel it's like, just because you're my boss don't mean you're right, boo. Like if I have something to say and it's a corrective, whatever, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you roll with it. And I think every single one of us here could be told that they got a problem with authority.
100%. I got a big ass problem with authority. I don't like being told what to do.
I don't like being told what to do either.
I don't like being told. I know how to tell the difference between somebody that's trying to tell me what to do because they mean well for me, and somebody that's trying to tell me what to do to have power over me. But just in general, I'm like, nah, I can pretty much handle myself.
I've
been like that since from the jump.
Very stubborn, I feel like. And I feel like it's sometimes
but for
to a
me,
fault,
it's not even stubborn. It's not like I'm going to push back on authority for the sake of me not being... I'll play ball.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? But it doesn't change the fact that I still say to myself, like, I can do this better.
Yeah. Yeah.
That might just be confidence more so than, like, stubbornness. But anyway...
That's true.
I need to go eat some of this meat.
Facts.
And thank you for coming to the barbecue. Until next time. And we'll do it again.
Until next time, guys.